Democratic Party, PDP, is accusing the House of Representatives leadership of covering up corruption, asking the Gbajabiamila-led House to step aside. And controversies rage in Ondo State over an APC chieftain and former party chairman, Ezekiel Kekemeke, alleging and threatening the PDP with federal might and violence ahead of the October governorship election. Hello everyone and welcome to the program. This is Politics Today live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Kimbaloye in Lagos. Let's begin with some of the controversies coming from Ondo State and the politics ahead of the governorship election. In Ondo State, it appears a fever is in the air ahead of the October governorship election, but some controversies rage when a former APC chairman and a chieftain of the party was caught on tape in online boasting to be a militant and making reference to using federal might against the opposition in the coming election. Let me allow you to listen just a bit for a few seconds to part of what that man you see there, Mr. Isaac Kekemeke, who is a former chairman of the APC in Ondo State, said. Well, let's speak to that man who a lot of the politicians in PDP and APC are talking about the issue of the federal might in the governorship election. Mr. Isaac Kekemeke, former chairman of the APC, joins us now via Skype from Akure. Thank you so much, Mr. Kekemeke, for joining us tonight on the program. In that tape, you spoke largely in Yoruba language, and the interpretation of some of those things that you said were that you are a militant and that you're going to use federal might in the governorship election. Why would you say such a thing? And is that a plan of your party ahead of that election?
Hello, Sean.
Hello, good evening, and I can hear you clearly.
Well, most of the things that I said were humor and sarcasm. And when I said that I was a militant, it was a pep talk where I said that I was a fighter. I can be an activist. I can be aggressive. Of course, and like you know, those are variations of the militant. You have intellectual militants, you have political militants, you have people who hold very strong views over certain matters. That is all I said. And as to whether the federal might was coming or not, that was some euphemism for saying that our party will not, should, and as a matter of fact, use whatever advantages of incumbency it has. That is worldwide. That's what everybody does with the incumbency. And like I said, that was supposed to be a home talk, pep up my supporters. And it was not meant to intimidate anyone. It was not meant to harass anyone. It was not meant to work violence on anyone. And I have explained this over and over, that the video that you have just released is distorted, is spawned, is taken out of context, and a lot of things have been written into it. Somebody, for instance, there was no mention of NURTW there, but Sahara Reporters talks about NURTW and all manner of things. That's the situation.
I mean, you as a former chairman of the APC, you wanted also to be the candidate of your party in this election. You know the consequence of some of the things that you said there, but if you say that those were jokes, for a lot of the people who are watching, especially your opponent, for example, you took responsibility in that tape of destroying the posters of the opposition, and you made a threat that it has just started. Could that also be referred as a joke?
No, it's not true. At no point in time in that video did I say that either Governor Akeredolu or myself was responsible for defacing posters of Jegede. All I said was stunting. That look, the man is shouting that they're just tearing his posters. He hasn't seen none here. You know, just to say that look, it's wailing. Elections are not here. It's wailing. That's all it means. It meant I never said that Akeredolu tore his posters. How can I say so? I don't have such evidence, and I didn't tear his posters. It was an home talk, and I was just saying, "Koiti ring." In other words, he isn't seen nothing.
No, Mr. Kekemeke, if you say those are just mere pep talk and you're just joking about it,
you are tons.
Say that again.
What fella we call Yabis.
Yeah, but I mean, as a politician, you know the gravity of some of the things you were saying, and especially you were addressing your supporters and your party faithful at that event, and you want the people of Ondo State to believe that those are just mere jokes.
The video clip you just played is distorted. You needed to put it in context. I think it's about an hour or so of a broadcast. So people have just picked up one or two stances in isolation to give them the kind of meaning they want to give to them.
No, because here on this platform, it's our responsibility to hold politicians and people in leadership responsible for what they say and also for what they swear to do. But you, as a leader of your party, and allegations coming from the opposition that there are fears of the use of federal might or security in the election, and those are some of the words that were interpreted in what you have said.
No, I talked about federal incumbency. Federal might simply means incumbency. Everywhere in the world, people use incumbency to their advantage. Everywhere in the world, in America and Britain, everywhere. So I am not ashamed to say that our state incumbency and federal incumbency will be legally exploited for our advantage. No, but there is no place in that video where I called on people to be violent, where I said I was going to use arms. As a matter of fact, the reference to arm was when I said that, look, some people try to threaten me that they were thugs. And that I'm a Niger Deltan. I'm never afraid of people like that. I've seen much more of that. That's exactly what I said. So if people take that video, they will see it. It was just an attempt at saying, look, I can't be harassed. Look, I can't be intimidated. Look, I've seen talks that I've seen threats that are much more than this. And if you recall in 2007, I was threatened. So I said, look, I've seen this, so nobody can come to threaten me. So I never threatened anyone. I merely explained that I couldn't be threatened.
No, Mr. Kekeme, you probably have learned from the lesson about what you say in public, especially at this very critical time in our politics.
Well, that's well taken, and that was the reason why I said that those who innocently feel troubled by what I said, that they deserve an apology from me, because what they are saying is that what they saw and what they had was not the me that they know. And so I apologized to those who genuinely feel pain. But I'm also saying that those who have decided to turn around what I'm saying for their selfish political moves, I have to talk to them. And what I am saying is everywhere in the world, incumbency, you use it to advantage. And the APC should lawfully and legally.
We must leave it at that. And thank you so much for talking to some of those things that you've said. But let's hear now from let's hear from the candidate of the PDP, who was perhaps being referred to in that tape. Mr. Eyitayo Jegede joins us via telephone. Thank you so much, Mr. Jegede. Let me get your reaction. You heard what Mr. Kekemeke has said. He said those were just jokes. How do you react to that?
Well, my immediate reaction then was to ignore the speaker, but then having considered the fact that he is a lawyer, a senior lawyer for that matter, who was also privileged to be an attorney general from those states at a point in time, and who also, I believe, was the SSG at some point, to canvass violence openly is repulsive. It does not represent the best of the traditions of the bar as a legal practitioner. It does not represent the values that Ondo people stand for. It does not represent the peace that all of us look forward to in the coming election. It represents some level of desperation and lawlessness. It represents threats to life, not only for myself, but the entire people of Ondo State. And I want to believe that these are people who also have a family. And then you talk about other family members who are also children of some people in a language of threat, AK-47. For a lawyer, for God's sake. So embarrassing, so repulsive. But then, again, you leave the public to judge. And then it's something that should not have happened in a civilized society. That's all I need to say. And then we move on because we are focused on winning the election. And those who want to disturb the election by use of AK-47, the world is there to judge. But we will win, no doubt. No doubt.
Mr. Yitao Jegere, the PDP governorship candidate in Ondo State, thank you so much for your time tonight. Now, the opposition People's Democratic Party, PDP, is not happy with what it says. It's what looks like a corruption cover-up by the leadership of the House of Representatives. The PDP spokesperson, Mr. Kola Ologbundiyan, in a statement says the Gbajabiamila-led House of Reps is frustrating corruption investigation in the parliament. And he has asked that the speaker should step aside. The PDP says that the decision by the APC leadership of the House of Representatives to shut down the sitting of various committees carrying out investigation on the executive is a deliberate design to cover the stench of corruption oozing out of the APC administration. End of quote. Those are the allegations against the APC-led House of Representatives. Let's take a look into what these mean. We hope at some point we might be able to speak with one of the opposition members of the PDP in the House. But I'm being joined now by Mr. Honorable Chinedu Oga. He's a member of the APC in the House of Representatives from Ebonyi State. He joins us from our Abuja studio. Thank you so much indeed for your time, Honorable Oga. Let's begin by looking at what the opposition is saying, that your party, which is in the leadership and in the majority in the House, is covering up corruption. Does your party and the leadership have a reason for allegedly shutting down all of these committees that is planned to investigate alleged corruption?
Thank you. My name is Honorable Comrade Chinedu Oga Owen. Yes, the statement by the National Public Secretary of PDP alleging that the leadership of the House is covering corruption investigation is a complete false and unfounded story. Unfounded story in the sense that if the leadership is covering up any investigation, such motion wouldn't have come up in the floor of the House. You find out that Mr. Speaker have what is called joint tax in National Assembly, in which that all the political party are accommodated. And that leadership, you have other parties that are members of the leadership of the House. So, the Speaker have all the things carrying everybody along in the National Assembly. He have never covered up any investigative or any corruption. Rather, is even the leadership helped the Nigerians to look into what the Nigeria will benefit and what Nigeria have forgotten, and to fight the corruption that we are thinking of. For someone to wake up, start alleging the leadership of the House that they are covering with corruption is a false story. For example, you find out that there is a constitutional right and there is an order of the National Assembly, the Order 7, Rule 3, in which the Speaker of the National Assembly have the rules, have the control of the General House. And for that, they have the right with the leadership of the House at any moment to decide, irrespective that we have recess. This motion was moved If he's not interested for such corruption to be investigated, that motion would have been killed in the floor of the House. But that motion was moved and passed.
All right.
And it was
Honorable.
assigned to a committee.
Honorable.
And such committee is Committee on Finance and Loan. But a particular committee wake up to carry such investigation without other committees. You can see that such people have interior motive. That is number one.
All right.
Point
So,
number
Honorable,
two.
just let's
There
pause
is
for a
nearly
moment.
how, according to the
Honorable,
COVID-19 guidelines.
Let's pause for a moment. We need to go
According
on
to
a
the
break. Just a
COVID-19
moment,
guidelines.
Honorable. We'll pause for a moment. We'll take a break. When we come back, you will give us some explanation on some of the decision of the House and the leadership and why the PDP is asking for the resignation or the stepping aside of the Speaker. That's after the break. But we'll let you see our political roundup during this break.
We grow me say this road dey very bad. To even go farm, e no dey easy. If we dey go farm that time, even basco sef, to even carry basco go farm, we no dey fit dey carry am.
Because of the bad road before, you can even see cassava in the bush. That's 2, 3, 4, 5 years because of no road to bring them come out.
But now, where they don't do a reach now, we just dey free. If na basco, machine or motor, we dey even dey carry motor now, run follow and go farm, go carry food for farm.
Person carry water for head before the person reach house. Go fall past 3 times. Go even person self go tired to go river again. And now when they don't do the road, you can go anywhere you like.
As this village come be now, na hapless now we be because to somebody to go farm now, e dey very easy for them.
Let's make Edo great again to ensure more motorable roads in Edo State. Vote Gordon Norerase Obaseki and Philip Swaibu. Vote PDP. PDP. Power to the people.
A former majority leader of the River State House of Assembly and chieftain of the All Progressives Congress, Mr. Chidi Lloyd, today dumped the APC for the People's Democratic Party. Mr. Lloyd was today received by the Governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, and advised that people of Ikwere ethnic nationality in Rivers must learn to forgive and unite for a common purpose in the interest of peace and the advancement of development. Mr. Lloyd was seeking the Governor's forgiveness over a 2013 House of Assembly fracas.
To say to you that we will henceforth join hands with you in the People's Democratic Party. I would not want to complete this statement without tendering an unreserved apology for the events of July 9, 2013.
We must forget yesterday and put ourselves together as brothers against tomorrow.
Ahead of the Imo North Senatorial District by-election coming up in October this year, some members of the All Progressives Congress in Imo State, led by its chairman Daniel Nwafo, have adopted the direct mode of primaries to pick the candidates that will represent the party in the by-election in October. At an enlarged meeting of the group in Owerri, the Imo State capital, the chairman Daniel Nwafo says they have agreed to adopt the direct mode of primaries over any consensus candidate, which is capable of dividing the party. He says his members have also passed a vote of confidence on President Muhammadu Buhari's government, as well as the Maimala Buni-led All Progressives Congress Caretaker Committee at the national level.
Just passed a resolution that we have adopted the direct mode of primaries for Imo North senatorial election.
A former deputy governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Dr. Obadiah Melafia, has approached the High Court in Plateau State for the enforcement of his fundamental rights to personal liberty and fair hearing after an invitation was extended to him by the police. Addressing journalists in Jos, Dr. Melafia's legal team, headed by Mr. Yakubu Bawa, states that the suit has been filed challenging the letter of invitation and praying the court to make judicial pronouncement on the letter. The lawyer described the invitation by the Nigeria police as an intimidation, harassment, persecution and witch hunt, considering that the Department of State Security has been investigating the matter as well.
Thank you so much, everyone. Let's get back to the conversation with Honorable Chinedu Oga. Is a member of the House of Representatives and a member of the APC from Ebonyi State. Thank you so much, Honorable, for joining us. We did hope that we thought that we might be able to have a member of the PDP in the House on the allegation of the PDP saying the Gbajabiamila-led leadership of the House is covering up corruption because of what they said, an intentional shutdown of sitting in the House. Let's get back to the conversation. Honorable Oga has been speaking to us about this from Abuja City. Let's get your explanation. For a lot of people who do not understand, because the PDP, in their words here, are saying it is clear that the shutdown directive is targeted at frustrating revelations from ongoing investigation on the 500 billion foreign loan from China, particularly as it relates to the mortgaging of our nation's sovereignty to China. Those are the words of the People's Democratic Party. Does the leadership have a direct explanation why the House is not in session presently?
Thank you, my brother. The truth of it is that, one, the House is on recess. Two, there is no any time that the Mr. Speaker stopped the investigation. Three, there is a scaring of COVID-19, breaking of COVID-19 protocol, a situation by which a committee chairman invite more than 100 people to attend a particular sitting is against the regulation of COVID-19 protocol. And already, there is already rumor of most of the National Assembly members that have contacted COVID-19. So such thing is not something that the Mr. Speaker will hear and allow some session to continue. For example, if the Mr. Speaker don't want such investigation to go on, all the ministers that invited are APC members. And most of them call him before coming for the investigation. He has a right to stop it by telling them he should not attend. That is to show you how the Mr. Speaker is open to everything that is happening in the National Assembly. As APC government, they are prone for investigation. See, which government in this country have ever arrested who's on the seat and prosecute such person? It's only APC, because President Muhammad Buhari is fighting corruption. Join her with the Speaker of the National Assembly. So if anybody coming to tell you that Mr. Speaker should resign because he's covering up on investigation, that is a complete lie.
Let me, Honorable Oga, this question is very important because of what is being raised. When, statutorily, when does the House go on a break? How many recess does the House observe in a year?
The recess is one.
So when at what point, what time of the year does the House go on recess?
Date.
What time of the year does the recess happen?
The recess always start from, because of COVID-19, it's supposed to start from July. But due to the COVID-19 and the sitting of the House, instead of 3 times weekly, start once in a week. And that is why the recess started from this August and in September.
But are your colleagues, I mean, it's sometimes customary that your colleagues in the Senate and the House and the Green Chamber go on recess almost at the same time. Are your colleagues in the Senate on recess too?
Yes, both the Senate and the House of Rep, they are all on recess.
So, but are you telling
because
us...
there is no sitting. It's only some committees.
So are the committee probe hearings allowed to continue, or they are on pause for the moment?
No, the truth of it is that it's because of the scaring, and the life of the Nigerian is very important. For example, you find out that the last 3 weeks, the breaking news of the contaction of the COVID-19 by Minister of Foreign Affairs. That is the sort of the people that the committee invited to appear. If such a thing comes up, and the same people will go and say that the National Assembly have started killing people, bringing people, and they know that there is COVID-19 in this country. So that is why such regulation, and when the Speaker got the security report in some health sector and other security agents, he decided to say that this committee should restart in 17th of September. He did not stop the investigation.
But
he have to follow the protocol of COVID-19 regulation.
Is
the
it
COVID-19 guideline, and that is the rules. It's
can one also be curious?
Any investigation.
Does it also raise any curiosity that when we have lesser cases of COVID-19, that is when the suspension is being asked or is being ordered? When we had higher COVID-19 cases, there were these sittings. These sittings were happening. But now there are lower cases than the House is.
The truth of it. The truth of it is that most members that are suspected to have a COVID-19 are coming for that sitting. And some of the people invited are suspected to have a case of COVID-19. That is endangering the life of other Nigerians. And such chairman of the committee is supposed to obey the rules and the guidelines of the COVID-19 protocol, which such was not observed.
Also,
no time that the committee suspend the investigation.
Maybe we should.
That we have to take the protocol. Is whosoever that is alive will be investigated or investigated.
Maybe we should wrap up and just in a few seconds on this note. And the question is, at this point, for those who are raising concern over at least two cases where the speaker had walked into the room when a public hearing was taking place, and for what is called is the speaker's intervention when things were going perhaps awry, and he had to intervene and called for some recess. We saw that happening in the probe on the NSITF. We saw that happening in the NDDC probe. Could that also have raised concern? What is the explanation for that?
The explanation further on that aspect is that if you watch the crowd of that committee, there are almost about 300 of them. And if Mr. Speaker wanted to stop this probe, it is something not to tell the people to appear. But you find out that the Mr. Speaker is an open policy man. He knows the rules. He knows the law. And what he's saying is that watch out the video and see the crowd there. And there is a security report that some people there have a COVID-19. So the only solution to it for Mr. Speaker to intervene, that such committees should be stepped down for further so that such people cannot disseminate that COVID-19 to others for this country. Life is very important.
All right.
It's not spouting investigation.
All right, Honorable Chinedu Oga, that's about what we can have tonight on the program. Yeah.
Who is executive members in APC for a committee? If the APC people is not open and running an open policy, they won't have attended for that meeting.
All right. We need to leave it at that, Honorable Oga. I must sincerely thank you for talking about this tonight. And we do hope that we might have members of the PDP to speak to this, as we have had a member of the APC tonight speaking to this matter. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. I'm Sean Kimale. Bye-bye.